Hello and welcome to Chaos and Caffeine, episode 11. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe. Otherwise, make sure to tag us at MotorDocAI, MotorDocIO. MotorDocAI.io. It's been a long week. I have put in literally in 5 days over 40 hours of windshield time. Including trips to North Dakota and trips to Wisconsin for some projects we're going to talk about today. Now, last week we had a great trial of doing some interview stuff. This week it's Saturday, and I really, everybody's worn out. So we decided I'm just going to do this one solo. Originally, we had this whole plan for Monday, which is International Coffee Day. Unfortunately, we have an emergency job that we'll be on Monday. We went from feast to famine to feast again this year. It's been absolutely insane. But in any case, Janine went out, and yesterday she surprised me with this weekend's coffee, which is Blackout coffee. And she picked up one called Brutal Awakening for me. So we're going to try that out. And then I found out she had also gotten a blonde called that's a French vanilla flavor. So we're going to sneak that in too. Thank you, Janine. I found those in the coffee rack. So in any case, we'll cover this in just a minute. Just a quick overview today. We're going to do two things. One is we're going to talk about how I used ChatGPT to help me with a couple of problems this last week. We had some really challenging projects going on, especially on very little sleep and a lot of windshield time. Second thing I'll talk about is the challenge of statistics and putting statistic and information into context. So this harkens back to something I believe I talked about either in an earlier episode or in the older MotorDoc vlog, which we haven't done one in a while. I'm planning on doing something soon. The MotorDoc vlog is basically where I do the presentations I've been giving. That's meant as less. It's going to be more technical and less, in this case, editorial. The last thing we're going to do, it's already unfortunately partially unboxed, but we're going to unbox a Simpson 260. And for you younger folks who don't know what that is because you've been stuck with digital technology, I'm going to introduce it, and then we will, in a future episode, go through some examples of why it's so important to use analog once in a while. Found out they're still in business a few years ago. This is what I was trained on in the Navy. I've got a story I'll tell, a Navy story, and then actually a government story that I'll talk about in a little bit as well. So let's get into the fun. So really quick, let's talk about the coffee. So this is the Brutal Awakening Dark Roast. This is Blackout Coffee. It's blackoutcoffee.com. It's made in Fort Pierce, Florida. One of the things I've been finding about a lot of these coffees is I'm starting to wonder about the intelligence of some of the, the old "here's your sign" joke. Well, caution, single-serve pod will be hot after the beverage is dispensed. Allow to cool before discarding. Yeah. So, and then the instructions, of course, position mug below beverage outlet and press start. Seriously, folks, is this what we've come to? Is this really where we've gone? Are we that dependent upon AI that we no longer can comprehend simple, common sense things? Well, let's get into this a little bit, and I am going to do something real quick here. Sorry about that. Had a little bit of an emergency. In any case, the other thing I wanted to point out is the hat. The Grease Thief product is developed and invented by a friend of mine, Rich Wurzbach, who also happens to be the distributor of Empath, as well as Empower Technology, including all our continuous monitoring stuff. So that's my in YouTube ad thing, so I sound like I'm a real podcaster. But, we're here to have fun. So let's get into the Blackout Coffee Company. Love the name, love the logo, of course, the skull thing. This one is a dark roast, and let's give it a shot. No real odor to it. I mean, it doesn't smell like coffee. Especially for a dark roast. It's really smooth, though. Sometimes a coffee company will slip in, especially in a dark roast, will slip in something to take the bitterness out, like salt or something like that. That's what I'm kind of looking for in this, maybe, because it's really smooth. There's no bitterness at all. And I made the 12 ounce or 10 ounce, I should say, off of our Keurig. No taste of salt. It's actually nice, smooth. I could drink this all day. Of course, the thumbs up, which I'll put up here. So that's that. And the good news is it didn't have much. Now the aromatic one is most definitely this one here. That's the French vanilla. Couldn't find the box for it. I don't go into my employees' offices, so I didn't go in to take a look. But definitely aromatic. Definitely smells like a French vanilla. It's either a light or medium roast. I mean, it looks like a medium. Tastes like almost like a French roast with the vanilla flavoring. Not heavy. I hate that heavy stuff that tastes like you squirt the syrup in at a gas station. Sometime I'm going to do a Starbucks one and tell you how much I love Starbucks, which you notice I haven't done that yet. Okay, one thing about our mugs, is they keep everything really super hot. Nobody applied for the mug in the last ones, even though we had, I think, our largest number of views in the last episode, which I didn't talk about it then. So I'm going to continue it on until we start getting, I want at least 10 entries for the free mug in the U.S., and we'll do one for overseas as well. You know what? Screw it. Anybody can apply for it as long as I am allowed to ship from the United States via FedEx. So if you want to apply for it, apply for it. And that'll be one of these mugs for free. So in any case, well, that's a downer. Yep. A little bit of something. I think some of the grounds must have come through on the one that I did. It's a problem with the K-Cups, depending on how they're made. But anyways, we've spent about 10 minutes on coffee. Let's see if I can do what I'm going to attempt to do. And that is, I've got to pause and try to get the screen up so I can show you what we did in GPT-5. Now, just the preview of that, I'm going back to this one. Not because, well, they both taste pretty good, but that mug keeps that really freaking hot. So I'm going to let it cool down just a bit. I mean, I'll give an example. The site we were at yesterday, we arrived there at 7 a.m. after a 2.25 hour drive in traffic. And I left the coffee cup with about half a cup of coffee in the truck. It was a cooler day. I mean, in the 60s, came back out, or 70s, 60s, 70s, came back out. Truck was not overheated or anything. Coffee was just as hot. That was at 2 o'clock. So I find that also in the winter. So it's kind of cool. So neither here nor there. Let's get into the. Sorry. No comment. So let's get into the discussion. So just the precursor, ChatGPT 5, we pay the full everything. We do the $200 thing. I pay the extra fees for Sora and a bunch of other stuff. We are heavy users of AI, counter to what some people think about my discussions on AI, primarily because I still view this as machine learning. It is machine learning. There is no AGI or even AI present in the commercial products we've seen on the market. It's a marketing term right now. Now, what we had to do in IEEE and others, and that's a discussion we'll have next week before I travel to Croatia for IEEE and grid meetings, is going to be on the standards that exist for AI governance and ethics. Those exist. The all of the government stuff going on right now is to go around consensus standards in order to allow freedoms for those companies, and we'll discuss that. It's going to be probably, we'll just say I'm disappointed, but neither here nor there. So we're going to get into this. I'm not sure if I have to stop and switch on this, so I might have to break this up into parts, or if I'm going to be able to just start the backdrop here. Let's see what this allows me to do. Now I'm going to have to stop and we'll piece this together afterwards. So here we go. That is most definitely going to be annoying when I put this all together. So there's my Saturday morning, folks. In any case, and I still have work to do. In any case, this is the discussion I had. Now, I'll put this into context. I was at a pipeline machine. We had a problem with oil leaking through the seals. I wanted some quick information. I was trying to pull up the documents, but we had a tight timeline because they were starting the system remotely and all this other stuff. So we needed to get information quickly. I needed a tickler. And basically, again, as I've always said, with AI or these ChatGPTs or chatbots, basically, LLMs are chatbots. And that by definition, they're chatbots. And why people are using them for certain things, I don't know. But you can use machine learning to do a lot of things. In this case, because we pay for this, a lot of the stuff built into our version are based upon the work that we do in the AI. So when we ask a question, I don't have to be exact, like oil pressure on pressurized loop bearing. It immediately knew that I was talking about an electric machine because all of our work is on electric machines or electrical systems or electromechanical stuff or basically industrial equipment. So it came back and it started talking about pressurized loop systems, film formation, and what I was looking for, just to make sure, because this was a float type bearing, meaning that there's a level that's kept inside the bearing. There is an oil ring. They keep the oil flowing through it in order to cool it off. There's a radiator and all kinds of other things. I just wanted to get an idea to make sure that the pressure wasn't too high because they were having a leak. So he comes back and says 10 to 25. So I remembered, based on this tickle, that not 10 to 25, I remember 15 to 25 for this particular manufacturer. So, okay, I knew we were looking for 15 to 25. So we started up the machine. Sure enough, on the gauge, it was showing us 21 psi. The levels in the level the levels were showing us that they were in the right spot. So I said, okay, we got that, and then I wanted some more specific because I didn't trust that, and still says 10 to 25 psi. And then here it is, some rules of thumb. State bearings are designed for specific oil supplies, usually around 15 to 25. That's the actual number. Now, what they do now is they will give you the references. So if they make a statement, this gives you the ability, and this was on my phone, to go, okay, click. So, and then it goes through, check the nameplate data, check this and that. I noticed on the nameplate that there was a specific instruction. I asked for the instruction. It came up with some stuff that was not correct. And it was correct, but not correct for what we were working on, but I didn't give it that information. That's a caution. You want to be sure about that. So it went on and it started outlining some stuff supposedly from the instruction. And what I found was I was trying to get the instruction, was it was not providing me that link. So I said, okay, what is the proper oil for use in there? And it said it was correct in that it identified the oil. It identified certain things with the oil, and it identified certain standard stuff. And in particular, it was the turbine oil. So here's where its reference was and everything else. So I was able to verify that. And then I went back to the thing on the particular machine, and it was giving me basically some blog, which it's like, no, I don't want the blog. So in the meantime, I had a chance. We had taken a break. We were collecting data. We were waiting for it to start again. So on the computer, I brought up the actual operating documents, found some paper documents in the building that were for the wrong design, went back to my contacts at the motor manufacturer, was able to get some other things. So we did absolutely not fully rely on this, but it did help. It was an assistant, and that's what's key. You cannot replace, I've got 40 years in the industry, and my questioning the whatever direction it's showing up on here, my questioning of ChatGPT comes from that 40 years of experience. So it basically, if I did not have that experience and I took this verbatim, like I'm watching a lot of companies do, sorry folks, you're idiots. If you're doing that, you're absolutely foolish. You need to use this along with a subject matter expert. That might change in the future, but I'm now starting to see some of these new folks coming out and they're going, oh yeah, we came up with this thing and we can do this and that and the other thing, and it'll tell you how to troubleshoot something and everything else. We're working on a similar project. The speed in which some of this stuff comes out is incredible. I will tell you what, our system is not coming out until it gives proper guidance. I'm not going to call it AI. It is not going. I haven't decided on what it's going to do. We'll talk about it later. I'm actually going to have to reach out for some support because it is a major, large project. But in any case, so I finally came back and I had a picture of the particular stuff. So I tried the picture, it didn't work, so I deleted that because I didn't want it to foul up. If you leave a chat string and you don't go back and delete something, it's going to include the wrong information in the remaining answers. It wants to please you, so it's going to give you an answer whether it's right or not, and it's going to be very confident about it. So identified this, and one of the things that we had trained our version to do is go out and look for certain things when it goes out onto the internet, which it obviously did. And it says, okay, it is not good for this. And the reason why is because this was a hydraulic fluid, not a turbine oil. So very specifically, we know that you cannot use a hydraulic oil in a bearing of this type. You have to use a turbine oil because the additives will cause it to foam up and will cause other effects. Now, I know that when it foams up, what'll happen is you'll have a rise based upon that foaming inside the bearing itself. And if you have anything going on with the seals, it's going to come straight out, which is exactly what it was doing. However, somewhere along the way, it appears in that particular bearing we were looking at that somebody trying to figure out why it was leaking had taken the bearing partly apart and actually had put the seal back in correctly and damaged it. So it was pouring out, which meant it was different from all the other machines that were having a little bit of leaking due to the fact that the entire company was using hydraulic fluid, basically, or hydraulic oil versus a turbine oil. You absolutely can't do it. Now, the particular one that was selected had certain properties. It looks like somebody put some thought into it, but I suspect that either somebody not competent on lubrication systems had made this decision without looking at the manual. The manual for the motor very specifically says, whatever you do, only use turbine oil. Do not use hydraulic oil. It very explicitly says that. So that's kind of it for that part. So we did this. Now I have used. I then used it for another project yesterday because we were trying to figure out some stuff having to do with belt tensioning. I knew that there was a guide for it, so I'll pull that one up here real quick. And the formulas are correct. But the question I had, this was the absolute wrong answer. So this is where it became interesting, is it gave all the wrong answers. I even said, okay, well, what about this information here? Can you give me what the pressure, what the tension is supposed to be? And it gave the wrong answer over and over and over again. The tension was too high. We could tell from our ESA readings. So again, it took our experience and our knowledge, and what was interesting is the people with me went, that doesn't look right. I'm like, yeah, because it's not. So in any case, be cautious. It is a great tool, and I'm going to have to stop this again. We'll restart, and we'll get into the unboxing. And actually, before we get in the unboxing, there was one other item I wanted to make sure I covered, and that was the improper use of data science in order to get conclusions that you want. Now, some months ago, there was a post on LinkedIn by a researcher who was suggesting that some things with climate change. Now, I'm climate agnostic. I'm not going to say it is there, it isn't there. I'm not going to be a denier or a proponent. I'm going to leave that out. I don't want this to be that. I do want to get through some of the stuff. So, for instance, I had gone back and I had asked for the database for a project in a let's just say I'm working on some academic stuff in the area of machine learning, and I wanted to get raw climate data, and nobody will provide raw climate data. They will only provide cleaned data, meaning that the data has been manipulated before you receive it. So I've dropped that project. The idea was I wanted to see for myself what direction things went. Now, what we know from data science is that, and this also affects the AI data we use significantly, as a matter of fact, is that if I go out and I take a data set and don't understand the context surrounding that data set, I can come to whatever conclusion I want. So, for instance, in this case, it had to do with dead bugs on a windshield. So he put out, and his research was that because there's fewer dead bugs on your windshield per square inch, in driving during the summer, that is proof that there's changes happening and the bug population is changing because of climate change. And I said, I drive cross country, your data's wrong. And there was a big argument because I didn't know what I was talking about. My real world observations were not real because his synthetic data was real. Synthetic data means made up data, made by models or something else. So you create the data you want in order to get the data you get, in order to get the conclusions you want. This is a big issue these days. I'll give you, for instance, at the Power Engineering Society meeting I went to, where we're talking about grid and generation and everything else. On the day that I presented, there were 700 papers total. I was the only paper with practical data, to the point where people were arguing nonsense with me, like, what are you talking about this? There's 2 inverters in a wind turbine, one at the rotor and one at the base. And the base one is to take, and I that's not factual at all. It isn't even remotely true. And but in order for that professor who had never, by the way, when I questioned him, never seen a wind turbine before, but he was doing research into wind turbines using MATLAB. I've had MATLAB on my systems now for 20 years. And because it's a SaaS, as soon as I stop paying this year, I lose access to it. Discovered I'm not using it anymore because I don't like it anymore. I prefer the real world stuff more anyways. So feel free, I don't care what your comments are on it. We are ceasing paying any of the licenses for that. I haven't used it now in over a year, and at 10 grand plus per year for nothing, something we don't use anymore, I ain't keeping it. Same thing with Console, that's going away. It did not perform as it was supposed to, and nothing matched real world, so that's gone too. That means I'll have money to have another employee. That's how much we put into it. So neither here nor there. So synthetic data. His data, he had taken data, scrubbed it, and so what he had done was he was taking inner city data for areas that, when I reviewed the areas, they have a bug spraying program, and there's not enough stuff there to allow for the types of bugs. So he was using inner city data, in which there were certain conditions that would eliminate bugs impacting your windshield, and applying it worldwide. Like, that's the way it is everywhere, including the country. And I'll tell you what, based upon what you've seen either right now or somewhere in this part of the discussion, the picture of the front of my truck, that is from the travel we took up through into the Dakotas, where there isn't that kind of program, right? So in effect, we had, and that's after I cleaned it constantly too. So we were scrubbing the windows and scrubbing the front of the truck, and I've got to take it down tomorrow and spend probably half an hour getting all that bug stuff off the front of the vehicles, because where I park the vehicle at where I live, the neighbors are complaining. But that's neither here nor there. So in any case, that is a big caution, is being sure that the data is correct, and we see it all the time. And I had brought that up as a statement in a discussion that was going on failure analysis of machines and predictive maintenance technologies using modeled data. Was the data that was being used looked too damn clean. I'm sorry, SCADA data is noisy as hell, and we're seeing this super clean data. Well, of course you can predict stuff off of that data. And it's literally just like the CMMS system story I've told multiple times, that I have seen systems where they say, we'll use AI to fill in the data you have in your CMMS system, and then we'll apply our AI to that CMMS system so you can make business decisions. If you don't understand the problem with that, you're the problem. Plain and simple. So that's the end of that bit. Just wanted to get that covered. This is going to go on longer than the usual. I'm figuring, something you can listen to in a long car ride. Let's take a look now at a Simpson 260. So I got the box. I went ahead and ordered it through Amazon. When I looked at them, the prices are across the board. So let's get this box out of this box. I'll show you what we got. Now, Simpson 260 is what I learned on in the Navy, and there's all kinds of cool tricks you can do with it that we'll cover later. I have no idea what I got in this kit. There we go. Volt, ohm, and milliammeters. So this is it. The box is all crunched up and looks used, so I have no idea the condition of this thing. Looks like it's been opened. Hopefully this is a new one because I ordered a new one. 268p. Okay, that's what I ordered. It says it's new on the thing. So let's go in and pull out. You can tell it's the American-made Simpson 260. Oh, they don't have any details on it there. Yeah, somebody's definitely opened it. I got this is all trunked up. Somebody's opened it and put it back in. So the Simpson 260 is what I learned on in the military. They are made in Lac du Flambeau, Wisconsin. Still called the Simpson Electric Company. So it's supposed to be made in the USA. I do like the manual. It hasn't changed much in all this time. Wow. I remember reading through one of these in the training classes we had in the Navy. I think I probably have my electrician's mate. Yep, there's the 3 and 2, which it'll have in there. 3 and 2 and the 1 and C, meaning the first class in chief. If I stayed in, I would have been a first class right away. I was a EM2. So let's go ahead and we're going to take this. I'm going to take off the cover. I don't know what this includes. There's my D and 9-volt battery. Okay, so that's good news there. I have, let's pull this part out, clips, and cheap leads. Okay, got just double leads, the little pointy things on the end. I've got lead kits. I'll use what I need to use. Insulated banana plugs. We didn't always get the insulated ones when we were in the military. And let's pull the 260 out of the case. All right, it's in good shape, not scraped up. So whoever opened it and put it back in, that's all they did. So this, for you folks that are new in the industry, this is called an analog meter with a little needle on it. And you'll see a little mirror piece there. That's so that you can eliminate something called parallax. So when you're looking down at the meter, you want to just see one. So if you see two, that means you're looking at an angle. That allows for accuracy. Now, the story I'll give on this. Okay, so, well, real quick, let's go through the 260. So on the front, this is to set 0 on ohms so that you can calibrate it based on your leads. Interesting, that's a long way down. You have AC volts only, DC and DC, so there is a ability to take in volts. 250 volts through 1,000 volts here. That will depend on which leads, where you put them in. So here's the common, and then you would put the other one in positive for low voltage, 500 volts AC or DC, or 1,000 volts AC or DC here. Each of these would go to a different range on the screen. And then for the ohms, which are on the other side, resistance times 1, resistance times 100, and resistance times 10,000. That would give you your ohms all the way up. And of course, there's across the top, there's your ohmic scale. The middle one is your AC, and just above that's DC volts. And then finally the amps. So the amps, plus 10 amps, 50 microamps at 250 millivolts. And so there's a bunch of stuff on here. So all terminals are 1 kilovolt max, so it can handle up to 1,000 ohms. There's also an adjustment screw on the front, and we'll end up doing something separate where I walk through how to use this in a few cases, because these are available. It's under $1,000. This one was $600 and some dollars. I was hoping that it came with a case or something, but I don't care. It doesn't have a calibration sticker on it, but that's okay. I don't care. I'm not using it for that stuff. I wanted this for up on the thing, and also to do some, oh, that's new. There's a few other neat things on here that I did not have before. So the quick story is I was at National Institutes of Health, and we were having problems with the newly installed 30 megawatt cogen unit, and everybody was having problems with the technology. We were seeing certain things with ESA and MCSA, and but we wanted to confirm them with an offline test. And I jokingly said, if only I had a Simpson 260, and they walked in with 2 of them, both recently coming back from calibration, and I went, they're still in business? And so I looked them up, and sure enough, they're still in business. So this one is the Simpson 260 8P. I'll include this in one of our prognostic training classes, so you understand some of the great, phenomenal things you can get out of an analog device versus digital. Because I tell you what, digital will not do a lot of things that analog did. They're just easier to build, and they're good. Well, let's just say there's pros and cons to both technologies. So if I were to go in and use this to take data on a VFD, say voltage, I'm going to get a very, very different reading than I would off of a true RMS voltmeter, such as the Fluke True RMS or AEMC True RMS. So in any case, with that, we've had a lot of fun today, or I have. If you're watching still, then hopefully you have. And we will cover this guy in a future one. Next week, I'm going to return to what will probably be considered semi-political, even though it really isn't. And then we also covered a few other things. Last thing is my day is going to be continuing, and this is something we're going to cover again too. I printed that out in paper so I could get all the notes and stuff, because I'm getting tired of looking at screens. I sit on this committee. It is the IEEE and CGRA Grid Committee, Report on Coordination of Grid Codes and Generator Standards. So this is a Grid Code Committee. We are having some interesting discussions and updating this document from 2018. And I have to go through it because some misinterpretation of the Iberian Peninsula, which is a previous talk, is included in there, and I want to get that straightened out. I've been invited to do a debate with a high-level person within the government on the Iberian Peninsula thing. So hopefully that will be fun, and I don't know when it's going to happen. Also been asked to do a webinar on some high-frequency harmonic conditions for IEEE 519, which is the harmonic standard, and a few other things. So all of that will be coming up. We'll make sure we mention in our newsletter, which if you're following this and you go to motordocai.io, yes, got it right this time, and go to the bottom, you just put in your email address. It solely goes to our newsletter. You don't get hit with any other weird stuff. I update on all of these, and some other things. In the meantime, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe, because that is what's driving me to do this. We're off to a very early start. I would like to see a relatively good following for this. Otherwise, I just won't do it. But that's neither here nor there. I'll only do something as if it's of interest, and hopefully this is helping people out. In any case, if you have any questions, message me, put in comments. I've only gotten a couple of comments too, but again, off to a start, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, hard to get people interviews if they only see so many views. Hint, hint. So in any case, have a good weekend, and we will talk next week.